I'm excited to bring you Kim Rogers. We are talking today about now how her life is, that she is almost 12 months into the mentorship work with me. And life has been like, it's like so many ways, it's so different today than it was even a year ago. Mm-hmm. So I wanted to introduce you to Kim and let you know a bit about her, how we know each other. She's gonna talk a bit about her history, which I'm sure you will have some parallels in your own story when you listen to Kim. And then I also would love to talk about the major ways working with me and doing the mentorship, a program like the mentorship, if there's even another one out there like this, I don't know, but the ways that it has impacted her life and continues to impact her life in ways that like she didn't know in the beginning. So first of all, Kim and I have known each other for years and years. We're trying to think back to one of the gyms we worked in together. We're both fitness professionals. So I was in the fitness side of things, she's in the Pilates side of things, but we worked in a few gyms together over the years. And when I went to open my own gym, she came in as the head Pilates coach for my gym. So we go way back. And although we kind of lost touch for a little while, we reconnected because we had a very similar story about food and our bodies and body image, and we didn't even know it, which was kind of crazy. So Kim, tell us a bit about your history, where you came from with your own disordered eating, and kind of bring us up to just before you were about to join the mentorship.
So I've been in the fitness industry for a very long time. I don't even know how many years, like right out of college. And so I've always been around exercise, people looking great, people in these little clothes, people strong and performing all the time. And I guess I was always little, so I really never had a weight issue, but I always thought I did, which is ridiculous. So always being in the gym, and then I started teaching, so then you're in front of everybody and the whole class is watching you, and you always feel like they want you to be absolutely perfect, not only in your teaching, but probably more so the way you look sometimes, and the way, if you gained weight or you drank too much and you were bloated from your water. So I guess being around that all the time, I definitely became that way. Didn't really realize it wasn't the food, probably until I ran into Dana accidentally on Facebook. I was following her, but then somehow I'm not very technical. I followed her on something else, which was a different website, and I was like, So I kept reading it, and I kept going back to it, and there was more stuff on it and more stuff on it. So finally I contacted Dana, and we had a conversation. And I was at the point in my life where I was ready. Kind of grew up in a tough situation sometimes. So I guess really the issue was low self-esteem. Didn't think I deserved it. I didn't have the job everybody thought I should have, and all that kind of stuff. So then when I reached out to Dana and we had that conversation, it was just like, boom, yes. Like there was just that feeling in my heart, and I knew that this was not even the end of it, but like the next step that I was ready to take, and I was ready to take it now.
Yeah, almost like the beginning. It was like the little bit of hope that, oh wow, my whole life doesn't have to be lived like in this small bubble of I'm never good enough. I'm constantly trying to prove something, and it's just exhausting. So that's what I like to think is the beginning of working with me, is actually showing you, wow, like these are the decades ahead of my life, all the hope that I'm like, if I can operate from a healthier frame of mind, like your whole world blows open.
Yeah.
So I feel like until that point that we reconnected, I know what Kim's talking about, because as fitness professionals, there is this pressure, even more so as professionals. I can only imagine for the students that are in our class, right? That yes, diet culture, it impacts us hardcore, and our mothers and our grandmothers, and Kim also has shared with me making some realizations of that generational stuff that we learned and that was passed down. But as a fitness professional, you're up in front of the room really scrutinizing yourself because you're thinking, I need to look this certain part and I'm not good enough unless I look this certain way. And yet at the same time, when I had, so this was the Life Beyond Dieting group that Kim is talking about. She found my post on Facebook, like, wait, I know, what is Dana up to exactly? So that's really where it was, and how that opened up a conversation about the mentorship and what I was doing these days, because her and I go back decades. We first connected in like the mid 90s, because I started working at Riverdale Health Club in like 95, 94, really, but who knows, like around that time. We're trying to figure out before we went live with this video. So that just ought to tell you. So 95, 2005, 2015, like, wow, man, we're going back a long time. Yeah. So clearly we both have very long histories in as fitness professionals, but also kind of running these parallel secret lives with like feeling never good enough as instructors. And it's crushing. And I think what connected Kim and I at that time, when she saw I was more outwardly posting about this mindset stuff and how food it's not really about the food. And she's like, wait a minute, tell me more. Like, I relate to what you're saying, but tell me more. So then we had talked, and and then that was the turning point for her to say, okay, this has got to change. Tell me more about your mentorship. And, here's my credit card, let's sign up. So here we are a year later, and I wanted to do this client interview so you got to know, like, if you could project yourself, like, a year from now, like, say we're about to talk and you're interested in the mentorship, I want you to just hear Kim's story a little bit, because she is where you are now, thinking like, okay, I want to believe these things, but I don't completely believe them. So what are some things you're experiencing now that you intended at the beginning of the program, but weren't exactly sure how it was going to play out? Like, what are some of the biggest impacts for you?
I think probably the first thing that I had to learn was I'm still manipulated by my parents a lot. They don't live around here, and I'm always worried. So I have the guilt because they're getting older and they're far away, and I'm always trying to kind of tell them what to do because sometimes their thinking is crazy. And so I think guilt really was a big part. And then they would call me and complain to me just nonstop over and over, and I would just get off the phone feeling terrible and angry. And I think the first thing was I really limited my phone calls. One thing I did is I started listening to Audible instead of talking on the phone on my way to and home from work, and that was a big stress reliever. And eventually, little by little, and through some conversations and talking in the group class, I was able to let go of a little more and a little more and a little more. And I remember coming to the group one night and saying, my father was badgering me about something, and I didn't mean to say it, and I just blurted something out. And I was so upset that I said, I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe I said this. I'm so rotten. I'm so terrible. And you're like, no, it needed to be said. And I was like, you're right. So I think that's the biggest thing. And then also, I'm still an instructor. I'm a Pilates teacher, and I work at a phenomenal studio with a lot of phenomenal teachers. And here I come in, the newbie, and I always felt, less than, because I was the new person. Forget that you have to have time to go on your journey and to learn from everybody. And now I don't feel that way anymore. I feel like I'm a master teacher now, and you know what? Like, yeah, I'm a master teacher, and all the work I've done and all the education I've put myself through and all the classes and my weekly sessions, and I can say, yes, I'm worthy of being a master teacher now.
And I just want you guys to know that she was a master teacher a year ago. I mean,
like right at the start of COVID.
So the thing that I am hearing the most, I'm so excited for Kim about, is that she had to claim that for herself. All the certifications, all the new trainings. It was a constant chase of trying to prove herself. And I have known Kim for years, and she was the head Pilates coach at my gym. I could select whoever I wanted, and I said, Kim, I want you at Evolution. And yet even then, all those years ago, there was still something I don't feel worthy of, constantly trying to chase. And to me, I was like, you were a master teacher then, you know, like to be able to teach the other teachers because you would teach me.
And I was just out.
Oh my God.
Just out of
yes, but you were so commanding and still at that time. So the cool thing about this mindset work and the mentorship is that, yes, you think you come in because there may be emotional eating or binge eating, right? There was issues with food.
That's why I came in.
Yes, so there were definitely issues with food. That was the pain point at the time. But it's interesting how now we're like 10 minutes into this client interview and now we're talking about the binging stuff.
Yeah, I forgot
about that. Because my clients quickly do come to understand, oh, I see. It's a boundary issue I don't set with my parents. It's a constant chase. I don't feel good enough in my career. Oh, that's what's happening. So we start to get to work together and through different exercises through the modules that are literally pen to paper.
Yep.
They're actual exercises like you would do, you know, your Pilates circles, you know, you use the apparatus. Well, your apparatus in the mindset work is your pen to the paper and showing up to the group calls or listening to the recordings because a lot of times you couldn't make it live.
Right.
However, I feel like that didn't hinder you from your growth in the program.
No.
Yeah.
I listened to them again. That would be what I would listen to on the way back and back and forth to work or any long car drive I had. But it is funny because I did come into the program like, it's the same old 5 pounds up, 5 pounds out, 5 pounds, really?
Yeah.
But I was, you would have thought I was like,
yeah,
like about to die of a heart attack because I weighed so much.
Yeah.
But it's funny, like coming in here and talking to you, nothing was about the food.
The food.
And I remember you saying or posting, you fill yourself up with the other things in life that make you happy and you don't need food.
Yeah.
And you're like, I kind of get that, but now I get it.
Now she's living it. Like now it's embodying her. And I will say to my clients, once you know, you can't unknow. This is what I mean. Like there's a cellular knowing that now when she reaches for food, and I certainly don't want to put any words in your mouth, but this is something that I know from my healing experience. When I go to reach for food, I can also consciously understand, eating more of this food isn't actually going to fill me up in the ways that I may feel empty right now. It just doesn't do it anymore.
Yep.
So you start to lose interest in the food because you literally I lose interest in the taste of it because I'm understanding my soul is craving something else. There's something else going on.
And on the flip side, if I eat like an ice cream cone, it's not the end of the world. I'm like, I ate my ice cream cone, that was delicious, let's move on. It's not... Oh my God, I have to go run 15 miles or go work out for 3 hours.
When we first started talking at the beginning of this program, that was because we relate a lot on this, that obsession. It was like, I ate all this, now I got to exercise it all off. So is that exercise bulimia to some extent? Because it was using exercise to manipulate, well, I just ate all this ice cream or I ate and I feel so sick. And now it's not, it's like exercise is exercise and I'm going to move my body how I want to move my body today or not. And same with food. I'm going to have the ice cream cone and get on with my life. You know, it's not as much, it doesn't take up as much real estate in your head anymore. And
I had such drive to work out. Some days I'm like, where is that drive? But you know what? I can put that drive to better use instead of being like, I got to work out. Like my drive is I like to take online classes, educate courses because I like to do it. And like I see something in anatomy and I'm like, oh man, I got to learn this. This is awesome. Not because I feel like I need to prove myself anymore.
Yeah.
I was telling Dana, I had the opportunity to teach like a seminar, a webinar, or whatever. And I was okay if I did it. Of course I'm nervous and all that, but I'm like, I'm okay if I didn't do it too. I said to him, I'm like, you know what? It's no bad to, I don't need to prove myself to anyone. I don't need to lift myself up higher. Like I know what I am, and that's just it.
Yes. And there's the interesting thing about that. Like, even as I'm hearing you explain, but even before we started recording, I was like, oh, this is so good. I'm so happy we're talking about this today. The way that you're even presenting it, it's not even coming from a place of ego. It's just, again, it's a knowing, and I believe her. Like, do you guys believe her? Like, she doesn't, I'm just not interested in proving myself anymore. I feel really good about who I am. And you know this about yourself, because we're very similar here too. We value learning so much. So it's also this certain level of, okay, that's an interesting thing. I don't know the answer to that. I'll find out, rather than the old way of like, oh my God, I'm a bad teacher. I don't know the answer to that. And there's like none of that anymore. Like Kim, your energy is so like matter of fact, like this is who I am. And I just I'm so excited for you, because now the sky's the limit, because when you show up and you have that conviction, it's easier for you to learn. It's easier for you to expand. It's also so powerful for you to be that way for other women, including your daughter, to see what it's like to be a professional. Like, how do you actually hold yourself, carry yourself? How do you set boundaries? How do you communicate? How do you stick up for yourself without steamrolling?
And
all of those things.
You know, my daughter went through a hard 2 years at college. It was during COVID and, you know, anxiety issues, which every kid seems to have now. I don't get it. But I feel like so much of the things that I told her, and so much of, you know, I didn't baby her like, oh, you poor thing, come and mommy will hug you, which of course that's what you want to do. But I gave her tools and words, and, you know, I'd leave her a card. It was never like, you poor thing, yeah, that does suck. Everything was like, okay, so that's the one side of it. But I call her or I'll text her and she has to tell me 3 positive things, 3 things she's grateful today. Aww. So I don't let her spiral. I mean, you know, sometimes she has to, and I'm there to hold her. But, you know, I even said to Dana when I first did this, like, part of this is for my kids. I want my kids to see, you know, and I've always worked, and I want my kids to know that I'm strong. I'm not just this wimpy, submissive person at all.
And now you can also be the parent you wanted to be, because that was something Kim and I talked about on the front end of this before she enrolled in the mentorship, was that, you know, and I hear this from many moms, they want to be the best mom they can be, the best wife they can be, the best professional they can be, whatever your career is, or maybe want to shift or get back into the workforce. So it all comes from taking care of you first, and that's what the mentorship program teaches you. Because I also want to just emphasize before we tie it up here, the thing is, Kim's an incredibly intelligent woman, right? Wouldn't you agree? I am as well. We're both smart, right? The thing is, in all the intelligence you have, you don't know what you don't know. So my mentorship program teaches you the how. Because intellectually, it's like, okay, I want to get to this other side. I want to heal my food issues. I know feels really crappy, but I feel alone. I don't know where to start. I don't know what to do. So I don't know what to do next. I can't get out of my own way.
That's what I said. I kind of knew, and you know, you have an idea, but you know, you don't really know. But I didn't know how. And I think when I came to you, I was like, how? Please tell me how. And pen to paper. One module at a time, thinking. Reading the other people's comments when you asked to reply at the end, and just that, you know, just that pen to paper was because you can't just be like that's it as you're walking around. You're like,
no, you have to do the exercise, just like you can't get around doing the push-ups. Like you have to do the push-ups. You have to hold the plank. Like you can't get around that. The same thing with this mentorship work. You have to put the pen to paper. I can't do it for you. There's something in the magic of connecting the brain with your physicality of actually writing that things come out of you that you just can't possibly expect, or you think you're hitting a wall. I don't know. What if you did know? And what if you just opened up and answered these questions?
Those questions, you're like, wait, what?
What? I'm like short-circuiting a little bit. And the magic of the ladies in the group, I just have to say, like reading, I mean, listening on the calls, like on the replays. Also, if you're able to make the calls live, and underneath every single video in the modules, there's always comments from the ladies. Now, if you're someone who doesn't comment, that's totally fine. We respect that, totally get it. But if you do comment, I highly recommend that you do. So you could read what you write. It's very cathartic.
It was. And even sometimes I'd be like, all of a sudden I just start crying. And I'm like, oh,
where did that
why
come
am
from?
Then you hear other things and you're like, oh, I understand. So it's learning while you're doing it, but then more learning takes place like as you finish it.
That's right.
You're like,
That's right. It's very exciting, right? Isn't it like
moments.
the breakthroughs, the ahas? And sometimes Kim would message me, which I always like check in with my clients privately. I'm like, please let me know. And she'll like message me, oh my God, I just made this connection. Like, so that's what made it less and less about the food, because you start to connect the dots in these places in your life that felt like you were angry, frustrated, they had no meaning. I don't understand this, I don't understand that. My program helps fill the dots in, connect the dots, and create meaning as to why things have unfolded in a certain way in your life. And that is incredibly fulfilling. So I just wanted you to hear Kim's story, because I feel like so much of what she shared, I know in the beginning stages of trying to understand. I know it's a mindset thing, but I don't know how to get started. So just want to leave you with two things. First, that if there was something in Kim's story or her energy or anything that connected and you feel like you want to reach out and talk to someone other than me about the mentorship program, where I'm not, like, you can ask her anything. You can connect with her on Facebook in our Life Beyond Dieting group. She's a member in the group, Kim Rogers. Do you use your middle initial? No, okay,
no, just
Kim Rogers.
Yeah.
So feel free to send her a private message on Facebook. And also that if the mentorship is something that you're like, okay, this is a program unlike anything I've heard before, and it solves in a much more comprehensive way of really showing you how to do it, and how do you do it in less than a year, even if you're someone like me or Kim that struggled with food and body image for decades.
Many decades.
Yeah. So even if that is your scenario, I'd love to talk to you and, one-to-one. So I have a mindset questionnaire, fill out answer some questions. Sometimes even answering those questions for yourself can be, because Kim did that. That's how we first started talking. Yeah. She filled out the questionnaire. It was a very low pressure talk. I mean, it was like, okay, this is what's going on. Here's the bit about my program. Does this make sense? Does it make sense now? For her, it was a hell yes.
Yeah.
And for you, it could be a hell yes, and it could be, I want to gather the information, right? And that's okay. I respect where you are in your journey. So thank you, Kim.
Thank
you.
I'm so happy to share, and I hope it changes somebody's life.
Yeah.
Because it sure as heck changed mine.
Oh, you heard it from her mouth.
Yeah.
All right. So hopefully we'll see you in the mentorship. Thanks, Kim.
Bye.